Welcome to Business Unveiled Podcast. This is the place where we help overwhelmed, time-starved entrepreneurs like you make the profitable shifts to get more done and get more out of life. I'm your host, Angela Proffitt, award-winning 8-figure entrepreneur and CEO. And in every episode of Business Unveiled, I'm bringing you conversations that will give you the expertise and strategies that will scale your team and business so you can get shit done. That's GSD in our world. So get your time back and grow a business that helps you be present in your life. Let's do this, y'all. This episode is brought to you by the GSD Academy. This step-by-step business productivity online program will share with you exactly how to shift your mindset, set boundaries, build rock-solid processes, customize your message in order to strategically grow your revenues and get shit done. Visit angelaproffitt.com/GSD Academy. Hi, y'all. It's Angela. I'm back for another episode of Business Unveiled, and I'm so excited to talk with our guest today because you guys may have seen my video on social media, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, but she has started this amazing movement. And when I first heard about it, I'm like, this is genius because so many entrepreneurs do not know how to unwind. And we all hear about the hustle, 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 but no one ever talks about the unhustle and how important it is. And so that's what our guest is going to share with us today. So welcome to the show, Milena.
Thank you so much, Angela. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
Yay! So before we jump in and talk about your movement and talk about unhustling, which you coined that word, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I came up with it because of a personal burnout story, which I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, unhustle is the word I coined, and off we went with that.
I love it. So before we dive in and talk about the struggle of the hustle, which is real, y'all, I'd love for you to share with us some backstory of what has your journey been to where you have gotten to today.
Wow, how much time do we have, Angela?
The abbreviated version.
I'll try to keep this short. It's a long story, but I'm originally from Bulgaria. That's where the accent is from. I know people are listening to this and they're trying to figure it out, so I'll just put it out there.
Love it.
I'm married to an Australian, so I kind of have a really funky accent, and I have lived in the United States for half of my life, so it's like 25 years or so. So I came from Bulgaria to get a master's degree in international marketing, and I went down a marketing career path. I've been in digital marketing since 96, 97, and I love it. And one thing led to another. I worked for a ski resort in Lake Tahoe for 10 years, which was one of my dreams, to work at a ski resort. So passionate about the outdoors. And after social media started to really pick my attention, I decided to start my own digital marketing agency. And, I was crushing it. I was winning, #winning, and and #hustling as well. And I ended up working with some phenomenal clients like Madonna and Steve Nash and Dr. Weil and the Reeds. I know, amazing. I mean, I was just very, very fortunate. I have a great network of people. And so we were doing a fantastic work. I was really into it. I was loving it. And at the same time, I was listening to, we'll call them hustle porn stars.
Yep.
Who, are on, and I won't get into names, but, they're constantly promoting this notion of hustle all the time, do more, sleep is for losers, all of that. And I was, living, breathing, and no surprise, I ended up burning out. I had no idea I was burned out. burnout wasn't classified as a medical condition back then. But what happened is my adrenal glands were acting up. I was running on cortisol and Red Bulls and coffee. My stress level obviously was through the roof. I was My sleep was not really there. I was sleeping with my phone. I had clients from all over the world, so I didn't want to miss out on anything. My relationship were gone because there's only so many times your friends will call you and say, let's hang out. And you say, I'm too busy, rain check. My marriage was, my husband is very understanding and we're soulmates. But at some point in time, he's like, we don't spend any time together anymore.
Yeah.
And if we are, you're not really present with me. You're not listening to me. You're thinking about work. So bottom line is, it was impacting my life. And it started impacting my productivity as well. My creativity was diminishing. My productivity was diminishing. So I ended up going to a 10-day trip down to Baja California Sur to a place called La Ventana. I know you go to Cabo as well. So it's about 2.5 hours from Cabo on the Sierra Cortez side. And, it turned out to be a digital detox trip because there was no internet there. I didn't know that. I would have probably never agreed to go because I was totally addicted to social media, addicted to working. And I would have never thought I can take 10 days off to disconnect from work. So I did. And then once we got there, we had nothing else to do. We decided to learn to kiteboard, which happens to be one of the scariest activities I've done with all my
Oh my gosh.
with all my skiing, with all my traveling. It was, the most mindful activity I did because I had to focus. Angela is like, I either have to focus on this or I'll die.
Yeah.
And that was my first experience as of late that I can think of getting into a state of flow. I mean, I was fully in the moment. Everything stopped around me. Everything got really quiet. And I was thinking, there's got to be more to life than working.
Yeah.
Both of my parents passed away early on from different health conditions. And so it was really in my face that, we don't live forever. And what is the point of all this hustling if you have no time to enjoy life? And I was thinking, I'm an overachiever. I want to pursue my dreams. I want to, I'm passionate about what I do, but there's got to be a better way than all these 12, 14, 16-hour days.
Crazy.
And so I went down on a path to figure out what is this better way of working. Turns out that science and all the latest study and research and a few brave individuals have already gone down that path of actually working less and being more productive, being more creative, getting into a state of flow, tapping into a high level of performance. And so I signed up with Human Potential Institute. I got into mindfulness. I studied biohacking. I studied what high performance people do. And that's how Unhustle was born. It's a counterintuitive but scientific approach to the way we live and work so you can actually tap into your full human potential. And when you do, you get so much more space and balance and joy, and you're actually more productive.
I love this because first off, I remembered recently you and I were on social and we were DMing each other because you're like, I was just at Las Ventanas and then you're like, oh, I'm about to be there. And so I love it though that you were at that serene place where you knew that there was something more. And you were like, I'm going to go get this and I'm going to go figure this shit out because this is not how life really has to be. And I, like you, thought the same thing. Like, no one in my family was an entrepreneur. No one taught me how to do these things. It wasn't until I was surrounded by a group called EO that other people had been, I call it potty train your brain, had been potty trained to where you can be present and you can do all of these things, but you have to learn how to shut out all those distractions and quit the FOMO and put the phone down, and like it'll be there when you get there, and like your clients don't always need you the way that you think that they need you. Like, it really is going to be okay. But my thing is like, how did you even start to unravel and start to really put those, I guess, boundaries in place? Because that was the hardest part for me, is like telling my clients or telling my family, like, hey, quit calling me, quit texting me all the time. Like, I'm not going to pick it up anymore. Like, we've got to stop all this distraction stuff. Like, how did you go about that? And how did you start to communicate it that, listen, I am going to do this movement called unhustling, and it's a thing. And so that's my first question. How did you go about it? And then did people start to follow suit, and did they respect that out of you?
These are very good questions, Angela. So how did I go about it? I didn't tell anybody stop calling me and stop emailing me. I don't think that's possible. People are still going to do that. But what I did is I created better boundaries with where my attention, my focus, and my priorities are. And I did that by getting very clear on what my values are. And my values are for, wellness and freedom and creativity. And in order to go after all these things, you really need to create more space in my life. And you have to look at the trade-offs, right? What are you saying no to so you can say yes to? And it's really easy, but the only thing I can control is my own mind and my own behavior and my own focus. I can't control what other people are doing. And that's where I think my mindfulness training came in very handy. So how I went about it is, I started with a mindfulness training of every day, just 20 minutes, whether you do it outside. I'm not necessarily talking meditation, although meditation could be one form of mindfulness, but just taking a little bit of time for yourself. And this is how I started my Unhustle morning, which is a set of rituals and practices that I do in order to take care of my mind and body first thing in the morning, and in order to set the intention for the day so that I don't get distracted. It's so easy to load yourself up with all these things that we have to do, we should be doing. Most of us, first thing we do is grab our phone, right? So not sleeping next to your phone, leaving your phone on airplane mode until you take care of your mind and body, and until you're very clear on your priorities for the day, has been very critical for me. So taking really time out of your day, making it a priority, making it like scheduling on your calendar if you have to. I never had to go down that road, but sometimes I do. Sometimes if I have like 3 things I want to accomplish on my day, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take 30 minutes at lunchtime and get a workout in. So basically, knowing what you want to put your energy and focus on, and honoring that with yourself.
So for me, I know that like I'm a big visionary. And so every quarter now we do a vision map of, okay, what are we going to focus on this quarter? It used to be, I laugh because prior to that thing called COVID, like we would do it once a year. We go to Cabo once a year, and like the whole year it's like, we're good. And then we'd schedule it all, and we were just kind of on autopilot. And so now it's like looking at the vision board and saying, okay, like where do we want our priorities and where do we want our time to be spent so that we can be present is really important. And so, but I am the person that does have to put it on the calendar. Otherwise it doesn't happen. So,
and that's okay. I mean, if that's what works for you, I think that's perfectly okay. But the one thing I want to bring up there is this whole notion of priorities, plural, is something that as entrepreneurs, we have our priorities, and all of a sudden you have 30 things on your to-do list that are priorities. And when that happens, nothing is a priority. So priority, originally, the whole word started as a single thing. Gotcha. And even when you look at like a quarter or a year or a month, what is the one single thing that you, if you accomplish that, you would feel like you've made progress. I'm not saying don't do anything else, right? But in my case right now, I want to finish my book. So my priority for the first quarter of 2021 is finish my book. Everything else is secondary, and it's so hard for us because we want to achieve all these things. We're like, especially mission driven entrepreneurs, we have so many things to do, but we scatter our energy and our effort when we put 20 things down instead of one or two.
And that's a great segue into, because I want to ask you, because I know you have all the science behind it, like the rate of burnout, like in America, and this culture of just hustle, 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 hustle. Like, what is that? Like, what is the rate of burnout? And do you think since COVID and people are working from home, do you think that it's gotten better, or has it gotten worse actually with the whole burnout thing?
Burnout, unfortunately, is considered now a pandemic across America. Quite honestly, it's not just America. It's not just an American phenomenon. About 76% of people are burned out at the moment in the country, and that's gone up since the pandemic because work from home, let's face it, I've worked from home for the past 9 years. It's not easy. But it's not just work from home. Isolation is not easy. We're hardwired to be with other people, especially in stressful times. So we're stressed, we're tired, we're overwhelmed, anxious, and burned out. And it's especially affecting women more so than men, because women are also, trying to be caregivers and taking care of kids and taking care of senior, of their parents or friends. So there's serious rates, alarming rates, and it's affecting mental health. It's affecting our resilience. It's affecting our productivity. It's affecting our health. And that's the one thing we should be really the most focused on right now: overall well-being, resilience, being able to adapt, being able to pivot, being able to refocus our business so that we can come out of this pandemic or stay strong during the pandemic. So burnout is a serious thing, and it's really hard to really figure out that you're burned out. I've seen it with me, and it's not anything that, when I talk about mental health, it's not really like serious mental health conditions. It's more like, oh, you have brain fog in the morning and you're not able to focus or get like simple things done. Like maybe you can't pay your bills online, you just don't, lacking motivation, which for entrepreneurs is so hard to get out of, right? So taking care of your sleep, of what you eat, of how much time you taking time to rest and recharge are actually critical to your performance and to your productivity. And it's so hard for us to get into that do nothing mode because we want to go, do, check off lists. And turns out all this deep play, when you have that deep play, like with me going kiteboarding, I consider that deep play because you're just as challenged as when you are working and you feel like you're using all your skills to do this one thing, right? And that's actually a very similar thing to staying in that creative space when you're working and when you want to complete your project. So it complements what you're doing at work. So the importance of deep play, the importance of active rest meaning not sitting on the couch watching Netflix eating chips, but actually going outside for a hike and spending a little bit of time in nature and letting your mind wander. I find so much creativity in these moments of just not really doing anything but just putting one foot in front of the other. And yeah, all the science is there that all these things make us more grounded, make us less stressed, which all burnout prevention measures, right? But we think of it as, oh yeah, I know, I need to go exercise. Well, we think of it more as, but if you do go out and go hike, it will improve your productivity, it will improve your creativity, it will make you more fulfilled at the end of the day because you'll feel better, you'll be more present, you'll be more, able to see see the trees in the forest. And it's so key, but we get hammered on this do more, accomplish more, sleep less. And it's the absolute worst possible advice that can be given to entrepreneurs. And it affects our lives. And people are actually literally dying from it. So it's so sad.
So, what are some things like, I know this whole, and again, I don't even know like who started this whole thing of like hustles. And I used to say that for years, I'll sleep when I die, which, and then I turned 40 one day and my doctor's like, you have to sleep 8 hours. I don't know who you think you are, but like your hair's falling out, you're gaining weight, this is not healthy. And if you don't take care of yourself, how in the hell are you going to take care of other people? It's like my mother was saying it to me all the time. She's always like, you look so tired. You're so aggravated. You look so agitated. Like, where's the happy girl? Like, why are you doing all of this? But then it took like my entrepreneur friends and my doctor to say like, why are you doing this? Like, it's like someone has conditioned you to think this way. And like you said, there are so many books out there that do say that. And I agree with you. I mean, now that I'm an older, wiser entrepreneur, and I'm like, no, you need to sleep 8 hours. You need to take care of yourself. You need to do these things. Like, and I feel like it's just going to take so long to like uncondition some of these younger entrepreneurs. And when I say younger, I don't mean it like the age, because there's 60 and 70-year-olds who are retired, who are at the Entrepreneur Center, who are brand new entrepreneurs. But they're excited about their idea. And it's like, they can't contain their excitement. And they're like, I can't sleep at night because I'm so excited. And I get it. Like, I've been there. I feel that. But what do you think that it's going to take? And which I know one of your whole movement of the whole unhustle thing, but like, why as a culture, like, why do we need to stop the whole hustle culture? And like, what is it going to take to stop this culture that it's not okay? Like, this is not okay.
Well, these are some excellent questions, Angela. And, hustle culture, where it starts from, I've been doing a lot of research working on my book, but I mean, it started back in the industrial. Actually, where does the 40-hour work? Let's go to not forget about hustle, but where does the 40-hour work week comes from, right? It comes from the industrial age. It comes from Henry Ford, who said, instead of working 12-hour shifts, I'm going to go down to work 8-hour shifts. Well, of course, because he wanted to optimize 3 shifts in his factory, and he saw productivity increase by working less. And so then a few companies followed suit. And that's how we ended up with the 40-hour work week. Now, put that forward, we're no longer in the industrial age. We don't go to factories. We don't work on machines. We're using our brain for work. And there's countless studies that show our most productive time, our creative time, if you're really in deep work, in focused work, is 4 to 6 hours a day. Now, the whole hustle culture mentality, it's not just somebody's fault for that. I mean, I can say names and point fingers, but really, there's a society thing. Our school tells us to perform better, to work harder. Our parents have told us that, and at some point in time, that was the case, right? Hard work pays off, and I have nothing against hard work. What I have against is that busyness and that glorification of busyness and always on mentality. And technology, unfortunately, added to it. Marketing, unfortunately, added to it. So I was just watching a movie on Netflix of the less is now, the minimalism movement. And they said in the 1920s, $50 million was spent on marketing. And now it's like in the billions, $300 billion is spent on marketing. Well, these are all messages telling us that we're not enough, that if you only work harder, you would make more money, and you would buy the house that you always wanted, and you would buy the car you always wanted, and you would buy more clothes, and you buy more. So we're chasing this happiness instead of, and that happiness, the goal is always moving, one more client, one more email, one more deal, and then I'll be happy. But that happiness goal, that happiness standard is always moving. The chase is always on. We never achieve it. When we achieve it, we have a next goal. And that's why as entrepreneurs, we're always going. When if we can put our attention more on finding joy every day and finding joy in what we do, then you actually feel better. You find more contentment in what you're doing, and you end up being happier. Now, in terms of the young
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, I was just looking here at the survey from Meredith and the Harris poll that they did a survey on burnout flashpoint and the stress epidemic confronting American women in 2020. And I just wanted to share a couple of stats here with you.
Yeah.
It says nearly half of the women say burnout is so extreme that they stay up at night, and work-life balance is a myth. So half of the women think that work-life balance is a myth. And it was funny. One of them said that a quarter of women will give up sex and chocolate to gain an hour a day of their time back. And most of them, 70%, see taking care of their well-being as the one way to get more done. So, the stats are there, the research is there, the science is there. It really comes down to us shifting our perspective as to how to go about it and what's the future of work. I'm speaking to the World Economic Forum on Thursday about how to go about it. And I think it's going to take, I think it's going to take leadership. It's going to take more companies. I have plenty of examples where companies have gone on a 4-day work week, let's say, and being able to maintain their productivity or increase it. So from a solopreneur, entrepreneur working from home, it's a little bit harder to do, right? So creating some better work-life boundaries, going from FOMO to JOMO, the fear of missing out, to the joy of missing out, shifting your perspective, unlearning old habits of what you've been trained to do all your life. So it's not easy to do because our ego gets in the way, but knowing that it's the way out. It's going to take, I'm not the only one speaking about this. Ariana Huffington with Thrive Global,
Mhm.
um, Wisdom 2.0, Chip Conley, Christopher Lockhead. I mean, I'm definitely not the only one. Vishen from Mind Valley. I'm not the only one speaking about this, and I'm so happy to see that more and more people. I was just on the phone with Anne from Nest Labs, who also has a website about how to increase your creativity and productivity for people using their mind. So there's a lot of people. Oh, it's not a lot of us, but at least it's some of us going down the conversation path, and it will take societal change. It will take mental change with our own habits of how we go about working. But I'm hoping that one day we'll have a much more healthier and more sustainable and, quite honestly, more productive way of going about it. The opportunities are there, technology is there, leverage is there. We just need to start using it better.
Right. So would you say like the one main solution to getting the work done and still having a life, it all comes down to priorities?
It comes down to getting clarity on your values,
Okay.
and creating a way to work that's more sustainable with your lifestyle, and really focusing on what's essential to you, um, that will give you the fulfillment you're seeking.
And sometimes, what, at least for me, I know I was too freaking busy to even know what do I want? What am I doing? Because I'm so freaking busy. And so, one way to get into this whole flow thing, just go to Las Ventanas. It'll fix it all. No, I'm being funny, but not really. But what would you suggest if someone is even so busy to even have the time and the space and the energy, because they have no energy left at the end of the day or the end of the week, to think about what are my priorities and what are my values and what do I want, what's something that they can do to like get into the flow of thinking a little bit differently?
I mean, start asking yourself better questions, start asking yourself um, different type of questions that you're asking. We're so stuck in our head sometimes, and we're stuck in the story in our head. And what are we really so busy with, and what matters at the end of the day? And how do you define your success without comparing yourself to others? What's important to you? What does success really look like to you? And what does it mean to, at the end of the day, if this is your last day, do you have any regrets? And if you have any regrets, what can you do today to change them? There's a lot of practices, and whether it's just having 10 minutes to sit down and start journaling, and just let whatever comes to your mind go out on paper. I feel like we're sometimes dealing with too much of like, I'm not being enough. I don't have enough success, or I'm not as successful as someone else, or I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough clothes, or whatever it is. And so just knowing that as of right now, you're enough. You have everything you need to, if your basic needs are met, like if you have a roof over your head, and if you have food to eat, and if you have some clothes to put on, everything else really becomes secondary. And so what are you trying to accomplish with your life, personally and professionally? What are your 4 or 5 things that matter to you? And do a quick audit, from what's your health like, what's your love life like, what are your experiences like? Just do a quick audit and see where you're at, and see what needs to be, maybe you need to put more attention on that one thing that's missing. Because at the end of the day, if something is missing and you're off caliber, that's why you're not happy. It's not that because you are too busy. It's because something's missing in your life. So what's the one thing that's missing?
I know when I was challenged to ask myself these questions, the one thing that was missing was the time for me to put into what do I really want out of doing all of this.
So what
So,
did you do in your case?
well, so I had a mentor that challenged me to literally turn off all the technology for a day. And really, I mean, I felt like he was trapping me like in a room all day, but it was what I needed. It was almost like an intervention with a therapist, but with a business mentor who asked me all the questions that you just said, but actually got me to talk about it out loud because I
Mhm.
had never been forced before or asked by anyone. He's like, we're not leaving here until you come up with some of these answers. And you saying, I don't know, is not an answer. And he's like, we can sit here for 5 hours, for 10 hours. I really want you to think about it. And that created the space for me to not worry about what everybody else was needing, what was happening on my phone. The text messages could wait, the calls could wait, everything else could wait because I was there for me. And especially for women too. I feel like it's hard for women sometimes to just sit down and take time for yourself because sometimes people like I would feel guilty because I'm like, oh my God, I have so many other things that I need to be doing. Like I was sharing with you earlier, like, like half the world, I got COVID too. And my mom kept saying to me, quit. I know you're laying there worried about working and worrying about the things that you need to be doing. And I'm like, actually, I'm not. I'm sitting here telling myself is I'm going to get better. My body's going to be okay. I'm not going to die. And that's all the energy that I have right now is to focus on the positive, and I'm going to lay here and enjoy this time of just being quiet and still. And I'm actually okay with that. Now, 10 years ago, probably a very different story, and I probably would have had anxiety through the roof. But I'm now more trained to understand that taking time for yourself and taking time to rejuvenate and clear your calendar is 100% necessary to just as it's necessary to get work done and to be productive, that I can't be productive without having that time to where I am just sitting at Las Ventanas at the pool, and it's okay to sit there and do nothing because we all need to be recharged. Like you've got to recharge yourself. You can't work yourself to death. And like I literally watched my dad do that, and it's something that I decided, I don't want to end my life like that. So it's a very serious thing when you sit down and you start asking yourself these questions. And it does help when you have a accountability partner or a spouse or a best friend or a mentor that can help you think through some of these things, because sometimes it's hard. Like it's hard to sit there and just have a conversation with yourself. That's why I so enjoy other entrepreneurs, because like we're all going through some of these same things. So it's really helpful. I know that you're working on a book, but right now I know that you have an ebook, which you guys were going to link in the show notes. So can you tell us a little bit about your ebook and some of the takeaways that someone can get from downloading the ebook and some of the tips that they can learn on how to unhustle?
Sure. Thank you, Angela. The ebook, I call it The Seven Superpowers of High Performing and Hustlers, because I'm sharing 7 stories with people who I have interviewed, who have figured out how to work less, stress less, and still get their work done. In some cases, be extremely successful in what they do by slowing down, by taking back some of the time in their days, or by working in a state of flow. And so these are examples with practical tips from real people. One of them is a company, a perpetual guardian, who decided to put his employees on a 4-day work week, and now he's leading the 4-day work week global movement. And Carl Honoré, who's leading the slowdown movement. And then there's some entrepreneurs in there who, Kat Karoy, who went from a brand strategist to starting her own business at home, working 6 hours a day, taking naps, and working only 4 days a week, and she's crushing it online. So these are all examples of how what superpowers they have and how you can make these superpowers yours. And you can download the ebook on the website at unhustle.com, and that would give you just a few more ideas. I also included the entire Unhustle playbook in there with some of the tenets that I believe are critical on this journey, by keeping it kind of simple. Like you and I actually touched on some of this, like unlearning old beliefs and unbusying yourself, and actually getting into a state of high performance by getting into a state of flow while you do work, so you can actually get so much more done in less time. So that's the ebook that I have on my website at unhustle.com.
Yay. Well, if anybody wants to connect with you on social, we'll put everything in the show notes. But do you have like a favorite platform that you're on?
LinkedIn and Instagram for sure are my favorite.
Awesome. Perfect. So we will definitely put those in the show notes. Be sure to download the free ebook, unhustle.com/ebook. And then when your book comes out, we'll have to share it with everybody so that they can go and get your book. And just, I'm so excited to read about all these stories. I loved on Unhustle Day watching and reading like all the videos and everybody's story. I mean, you've really pulled together so many amazing leaders around the world who have shared with you and with the world like what unhustle actually means, and you're really doing amazing things that are going to help change the world and frankly save lives. So congratulations. I think it's incredible.
Thank you so much, Angela, and thank you so much for supporting World Unhustle Day. I loved everything you did and your videos, and we'll make it a bigger event next year. And thank you for all the support. I really, really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun connecting with you on this podcast.
You're so welcome. And everybody that's listening, thank you so much for your time. And be sure to unhustle. It's okay. Go ask yourself some of those important questions and share with us. Get on social media and share on Unhustle and let us know how this has helped you or how it's impacted your life or your business. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Business Unveiled. Bye, y'all. That's it for this week's episode of Business Unveiled. Now that you have all the tools that you need to conquer the world and GSD, get shit done, would you share this with your friends and fellow business leaders? One thing that would really, really help us and help new listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a comment in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in and listen to Business Unveiled. You can check out the show notes at angelaproffitt.com/podcast and link up with us on social media so you can share your biggest insights. And I want to know your aha moments. Until next week, remember, the profitable shifts and structures you're creating in your business help you be more present in your life. So get out there and GSD.